Griswold, who's very well known for her chocolate work, and a very young woman, uses a heating pad. So when she gets it tempered and all, she'll set the pot on the heating pad to keep it in that happy zone. A lot of times, right now we're working on wooden benches. We'll work on stainless tables like that. And if I put chocolate down on that, it would completely alter the temperature control that I'm trying to get for the chocolate itself. So like I say, this is milk chocolate. And whether it's milk chocolate or bittersweet chocolate, I'll want to cut it up somewhat fine. You'll want a heavy knife, hard work. Now milk chocolate's a lot softer than bittersweet or semi-sweet. Now, depending on who's making the chocolate, bittersweet and semi-sweet, every brand is going to be a little bit different because they have their own formulas. This happens to be Calabo, which is a good company. Another really good company is Guitard, G-I-T-A-R-D. And a lot of the...
That's when we get the CCAP.
Yeah, it's a good quality, and it's a lot less expensive than some chocolates. Hershey's is a good quality chocolate. Nestle, so you realize Nestle is the largest food corporation in the world. Interestingly enough, Nestle tried to buy Hershey, which was a very bad idea. All of the Amish, the Mennonites, and all those people live there. There's a symbiosis between the dairy, the cacao beans coming in, and it has been there for 100 years, going very smoothly. And Milton Hershey had no children. So all that money that's being made is there. They have billions and billions of dollars. They run an orphanage, health center. I called friends of mine in that area because I summered there every year for many years, and I said, what is this nonsense I hear? Someone got on the board, and the entire community went into high gear and kicked him. One or two people got them off the board. There's no need for them to be sold. They have more money than they know what to do with. And my main concern is when corporations buy these types of businesses, they tend to disassemble everybody to make more money. And I mean, the Amish and the Mennonites are a very stabilizing factor in a world like ours today. You don't have to be religious to get that part. Say again?
He was Mennonite and his wife was Catholic.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
What a combo. What an interesting combo.
Couldn't have children, so they started an orphanage. And
Yeah.
They have a hospital. And
I didn't realize that Hershey, my brain just went right out the window, sorry. Hershey and all that, Mennonite country and all that, is the second biggest attraction in the United States. Only second to Disney World.
really?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that many people were even aware of the Amish.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate it.
Well, now there's a show, a reality show.
For
What's it
Mennonites.
called? Something about like leaving Amish, and it's Amish kids breaking Amish.
Yeah, but I don't think that the true, it's like, yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
it's like having a sister wives, it's not.
Well, just like everybody thinks Jersey Shore, they're Italians, they're not.
You'll find Italians in certain parts of Jersey.
Oh, of course,
Go to
but not on
Bayhead,
that
you'll be
show.
hard-pressed to find one.
But Snooki is not Italian, people.
No.
She's not. She's a lot of things.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't
You'll
get into
find
those shows.
Italians just as bad as Snooki. You will, but she is not.
Snooki, is it? Okay. I think I saw about 5 minutes of the Housewives of Orange County and thought, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, just positively beyond the imagination. What is the attraction? I don't get it. Are people looking for liposuction and plastic surgery? Is that what this is about? Normal? You've made it?
Sad.
Pathetic.
So what posture is
Okay, let's bring our heads back into the world here. I have my chocolate now chopped, I have my water here, and I'll deal with that in a few minutes. So I'm going to put this in here as a reminder of what I'm doing. The water will be heated, I'll pour the chocolate in and I'll whisk it together so it's nice and smooth. In the meantime, in my other pot, I'll take my vanilla bean, I'll cut it open and I'll add it to the milk and the cream. I am using a high proportion of cream here because I want this to be a very thick pastry cream. So it will hold up to thick layering and the building of a Napoleon. So I have a cup of milk and I have 4 cups of cream.
Is this like a Bavarian cream you're making?
No, not at all. A Bavarian cream would be a gelatin mixture, and then you would be folding in cream itself has been whipped and to make it lighter even yet. And if you haven't had a Bavarian cream, they're wonderful things to make for holidays. And they're sensational tasting.
Yeah, the amounts you gave aren't the ones that are in here, is that correct?
I'm using a slightly larger amount than you're doing. You're doing the batch that's right here. 1 pint right there.
Got it.
Yeah, there we go. And then I have my corn syrup. I have 2 eggs here, and I have 6 yolks here. Now, what I want to do, I don't know how much you work with eggs, but if you are separating eggs, and say you're doing any kind of work where you're doing a lot of work with eggs, you need to learn how to crack them with your hands. Are you familiar with this? Get my egg whites near me. If I happen to screw it up and the egg breaks, this is Susan Alvarez.
Hello, ladies.
She helps make this program work here. She volunteers her time.
I'm here more than I am at home.
We get it.
And then just pour the egg into your hand and then put your yolk wherever you're going. We can freeze these. They hold up really nicely. These don't freeze so well. If you were doing 3 flats, that's 90 eggs, rather 90 eggs together, you're going to have a lot of, you can't be going like this. And we don't use gadgets. If we had a lot of gadgets here, this place would be even more to wash, and that's just a little bit too much. I have a little bit of salt here. Beg your pardon? No, this is cream and milk. And I did a split. You could make it with just milk. But because these are Napoleons, it needs to be very sturdy. So I'm looking for a much richer amount. I am going to remeasure this and cut this down just a little bit in terms of the amount. I'm going to make this a little lighter than our last batch. Several of the students were looking at it thinking, oh, it looks so dense, and I don't want you to have that impression. I want you to see what pastry cream should look like under normal circumstances where you're not using it architecturally. What do you have, 2 ounces on your sheet there? I'm sorry, I'm using this one. 3¼ Okay.
Because you only use 6 egg yolks, right?
And 3 eggs, 2 or 3 eggs. So it's 3.5?
Yes.
There we go, already. By the way, when you use scales, go a little past your number and then start pulling out. Because there is a window. You stop right at 8 ounces. There's still ways till you get to 9 or 8.5. So you need to go to the next number and then take a little bit out. These are not as accurate as you might think they are.
That's good to know.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of talk about it because we've gotten so used to them. And they're so easy. We think it's perfect when it isn't. So what I'm going to do is take my eggs. I'm going to put part of my sugar in with the dairy. And I'm just going to eyeball it. And then I'm going to take the other and I'm going to put it in a bowl. And I'm going to start whisking the eggs. As it is. I'm going to put all this together. And have a little bit of eggshell in here. It isn't the worst thing that ever happened. It's just a little calcium. Generally they sink, so if you see them right away, just let them settle, and they're a little easier to get out than freaking out thinking you've got to get it now. Put my sugar in there. Just a little. Get rid of all this. Take my vanilla bean. Open it up. And scrape the seeds out.
Is there a technique of keeping vanilla beans fresh?
Moist. Yeah, put them in a plastic bag, airtight, and refrigerate. It works very well. Oh, what am I doing? Dairy. Throw your pot in. That'll be strained out later. I'll be using a wooden spoon. It's my preference for stirring this around as it heats. But before I get into that, what I'm going to do is get my eggs into the ribbon stage. Now, I would recommend, because this kitchen is not as hot as it normally is with everything going, take the eggs before you crack them and put them in one of the quart plastic containers with some warm water. It helps. They fluff up better. And what it'll do when the oxygen is forced in and the sugar takes doing its chemical cooking, which it actually does, it'll turn to a light yellow, and we'll get basically a pancake batter instead of a soupy texture. Was there any left of your...
Lots.
Okay.
Lots. We'll be feeding the whole school.
I didn't realize until recently that tea is used on duck. That's how in the Chinese shops, they get that deep brown in the duck. I'm not big on, personally know how to do a lot of Asian cooking. But someone gave me a Chinese cookbook, and when it came to duck, I know how we treat them in Western cooking. This said take a clothes hanger, straighten it out, and then put it through the head, the one part, and then hang it in the shower for 2 days. With a fan
Imagine
on.
somebody walking in and freaking out.
Take it out before you shower. Put it back in, and what it is because the ducks have so much moisture content, the fat is very high quality. It's snow white and very clean tasting, but it does have a lot of moisture in there. Is what we'll do is salt and pepper them with fresh cracked pepper, put them on a sheet pan in the walk-in, exposed for 2 days. And then it begins to look very unattractive, but when you roast it, you don't notice it, and it dehydrates them a good bit. Because if you try to cook them directly, you end up, especially if they're domesticated, and they always try to get them to market as quickly as possible, you'll have a lot more moisture in the dish, in the duck. What I'm going to do is start turning this on, because I'm going to use this heat here to help me warm up my eggs a little bit. Sort of as a double boiler. If you live in LA, by the way, the culinary historians of Southern California, if you look them up online, they have meetings at the main library, which is quite beautiful, the Richard Bearden Library, 5th and Flower. If you have a library card anywhere in LA County, it's only $1 to park there in that central LA location, which is wonderful. And you can spend, I think, 4 hours in the library. It's on Saturdays, usually at 10 or so. You meet some very interesting people, a lot of kooky people. Seems to attract some real esoteric types. Also, the book's right behind you. That's the Georgia Preserving Cookbook we were talking about yet. The white one and that one's so easy to preserve, which I really love. They were sold out, so many people ordered it about 6 months ago. I hope they have another printing out. And then the other two are both Shirley Corr's books that I brought along. Designed for the home cook, but she explains a lot of the science behind cooking in layman's terms, so you don't read it and think, oh my goodness, I don't get what I just read. It's very plain English, easy to understand. And also some wonderful recipes. Also, just because we know the science of something, there are so many variables in food, and it's not like everything always comes out perfectly. Any little thing that we may not be aware of could alter something. So, a friend of mine, my landlady, runs a lab at Caltech. They get a paper in, a scientist has worked on it for years, and it's supposed to be the law. This is science. Then the other scientists get in there and they rip it to shreds. It's that eggs that are going through it. We learn something new every time. So the same thing applies to cooking. Did you see it beginning to lighten up here now?
What was the name of that Southern California?
Culinary historians, or the culinary historians of Southern California. It's one of those. They have wonderful lectures there. A lot of luminaries will come. Usually it's people who've written books. Okay. More delicate with my stirring. So I lift it up and I see the way it pours. It should go back and forth on itself. Exactly. Like a sauce. Now buttercream, pastry cream, big difference. About 20 pounds worth of weight. Buttercream is such an unusual animal, frightens people. Just depends on the temp. Since I put a little bit of the sugar in here, I'm not really worried about the milk and the cream curdling. Also the cream, because of the amount of fat in it, is great for, you can boil it. When you whisk, get yourself the right whisk. This happens to be a pointed whisk, so I could get into the corners of that pan without any difficulty. If I were dealing with a really heavy mass of something, I'd use a very stiff, heavy-duty whisk. That would be for another purpose entirely. If I were lucky, I'd have a big balloon whisk, but I'm telling you, every shop I've been in the last 2 years, I've only seen one or two and they just disappear. It's very hard to find balloon whisk. I don't know why. Maybe they're not ordering them? I don't know.
One TLC conference I've gone to, the chef, and I want to say, the Island Hotel was talking about that they were actually making their chefs bring in their own tools because of the amount of that. That was very interesting.
We have a lot of it here, and I don't know what people would be doing with some of this stuff. A whisk? I mean, like on a KitchenAid? You have to have the KitchenAid to use the whisk. We've gotten to the point now where our coffins are all locked, and they check out the equipment with a cell phone.
I went to a restaurant, I think it's called the Blue Cow, and they have their lights made out of KitchenAid.
They have their what name? Oh, really? How interesting.
Different sizes.
Uh-huh. So he brings the point home.
Yeah.
Where is it? Downtown? No, to the west? Okay. That's Grand Avenue. I think it is. But there are a lot of buildings inside of the big skyscraper. Uh-huh. Okay. No. I do a tour downtown, but I don't do any restaurants. Just a few that I know. I'm getting to know them better. So you telling me that for now, this is mine. What is that? Chinatown's going through some weird changes. I mean, it's being held on to. It's a very stable community, but at the same time, there's been no improvement at all to the place. I heard what Walmart got in there. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's still going through. And then, of course, Walmart's got all its corruption problems. This morning in the LA Times, a big story. They have so many corruption problems, they're actually pulling back on their expansion because they have so many legal problems.
Wow.
They just opened a new store in Western Canada. Supposedly, I was told that it's the largest Walmart